Ngayong Biyernes, pag-uusapan natin ang tulong at suporta ng Department of Science and Technology para maiangat pa ang iba't ibang industriya sa Pilipinas. Kilalanin natin ang huling batch ng industry partners ng DOST. Makakasama natin sina Dr. Gisela Concepcion, President of the Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering o PAASE, at Professor Emeritus, the Marine Science Institute, University of the Philippines, Diliman, Engineer Rani Ison, immediate past President of the Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines o ASEP. Dr. Claudio Tiribelli, Scientific Director of the Fundación Italiana Fegato or Italian Liver Foundation, at si Ms. Olive Puentespina, Vice President of the Food Processors Association of Davao. Lahat ng yan at iba pang balita tungkol sa gama teknolohiya sa bansa ngayong nagdaang linggo mula mismo kay DOST Secretary Fortunato Boy de la Peña. Pagkadutukan lahat ng yan sa DOST Report tuwing Biyernes alas 4 ng hapon sa DOST TV Facebook page at YouTube channel. Mga napapanong balita tungkol sa gamit teknolohiya para sa bayan ang hatidan sa inyo dito lang sa DOST Report. Magandang araw Pilipinas, ako po si Oren Miranda, ang inyong kapatid sa Mapabuti, at kasama po natin ang kalihim ng kagawaran na agama teknolohiya, ang nag-iisang DOST Secretary Fortunato Boy de la Peña. Magandang araw po, Sec Boy.
Magandang araw naman, Onin, at magandang araw sa ating mga taga-subaybay.
Para sa huling yugto ng DOST-Industry Partnership Series, maya-maya ay may makakasama tayong mga panauhin mula sa ilang industry sectors na katuwang ng DOST sa pagpapalakas ng science, technology, and innovation ecosystem sa bansa. Pero bago yan, pakinggan muna natin ang mga balitang hatid ni Secretary Boy.
Salamat, Onin, at gaya ng dati ay mag-uumpisa ako sa mga balitang kalusugan at kabuhayan. Pagkatapos ay yun namang nasa kaayusan at kinabukasan. So the first item comes from the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development, or PCHRD, reporting that they are supporting the implementation of a study on a community approach to control and halt drug-resistant tuberculosis, okay? And that they are reporting 70 to 80% success rate. The project is entitled Community Approach to Control and Halt Drug-Resistant TB, or they have a short name, it's called DRTB. And it is led by Dr. Charles Yu from the De La Salle Medical and Health Sciences Institute. It aims to determine the effectiveness of the community-based approach strategy to control and halt drug-resistant tuberculosis in the detection and treatment of DRTB in the Philippines. This 5-year project, which is currently in its 4th year of implementation, is one of the projects supported by the Regional Prospective Observational Research for Tuberculosis, or REPORT, international program that aims to advance regional tuberculosis science that is relevant in a global context. Following the REPORT Common Protocol Platform, the COACH DRTB project is conducting targeted intensified case-finding efforts in selected communities using a community-based approach rather than a facility-based approach. These outcomes were chosen as they reflect completion of treatment as well as the level of quality of care. In addition, the project assesses the outcomes in children who were previously diagnosed to have TB disease, latent TB infection, or were exposed. The second item is supported by our DOST in Region 7 based in Cebu, which is regarding their continuing training on the use of the RX box. The DOST-7 RX box regional team, headed by the regional coordinator Marichu Baclay, conducted a virtual RX box training for the Rural Health Unit of Maria on September 13, 2021. The training, which was assisted by the DOST Siquijor Provincial Science and Technology Center, And particularly their RX Box provincial team was attended by 4 staff members of Lassie Health Center that included 2 nurses, 2 midwives, and an IT staff. The mayor also graced the trainings, and they were very grateful for the equipment, which is the RX box. So the turnover of the equipment was done before the said training. The third report is coming from the DOST Food and Nutrition Research Institute. They indicated that a Balik scientist now assists the DOST FNRI program on nutritional genomics. In an effort to communicate the benefits of nutritional genomics among various audiences, the DOST FNRI has partnered with the Balik Scientist program in crafting a different approach to conduct the webinar series. The Omic Sena, okay, that is their name for the project, Omic Sena, staging a scene in the omics in civilian, is a platform to communicate the recent advances in genomics research at the DOST FNRI. For its second offering this year, the DOST FNRI collaborates with DOST's Balik Scientist program to introduce other omics platforms that are of immense utility to the country's quest for stronger and bolder omics-based R&D initiatives. The Omics Sena lecture series is part of the DOST FNRI's efforts to engage the expertise of Dr. Gerard Brian Gonzalez, a DOST Balik scientist for metabolomics. A new twist to the 3 o'clock habit, the participants of the webinar series will spend 9 afternoons with lectures and workshops from Dr. Gonzalez himself and other omics experts from select areas of the European Union and the United Kingdom. The webinar series aims to introduce the concept of metabolomics, metagenomics, and food omics, along with the appreciation of the analytical techniques that will support these platforms. Now we move to kabuhayan. First report, it is on a Cradle project. Cradle means collaborative research to leverage the Philippine economy, which is that of sustainable bangus fry production. And this will be in Panabo City, Davao del Norte. DOST Picard has partnered with the University of the Philippines, Visayas, and the ALT Hatchery, that's the name of the company, in Panabo City, Davao del Norte, to improve the milk fish fry production from 2 million to 5 to 10 million fries per year, according to the accounting a 150 to 400% increase. This project, under the leadership of Professor Fredson Huerbana, is supported by the Science for Change program, Collaborative R&D to Leverage Philippine Economy, or CRADLE. It has an assistance from DOST to the tune of 4.9 million pesos. The industry partner, which is ALT Hatchery, on the other hand, provides a counterpart funding of 6 million. The project seeks to address the country's fry requirement, which is of the current production levels, estimated to be approximately 3 to 4 billion per year. Billion of fries. Okay? Of this, about half is sourced locally from production in the hatcheries, around plus minus 1.5 billion, and 1.5 billion plus or minus. Okay, and wild fry gathering, okay, which is 1 to 1.5 million. The other half is imported mainly from Indonesia and Taiwan. Although a large number of eggs are produced during spawning, that is around 5 billion plus or minus, DOST, that is from the DOST Milk Fish Program A data, only 60 to 70% are hatched and grown into fry because of the limited facilities in the core hatcheries. The next kabuhayan report comes from DOST Region 8. Our DOST Region 8 is partnering with the largest business process management company in Eastern Visayas through the support of technology startups. Okay, the DOST Region 8 through iStart Leyte supports the development of the IT BPM sector through its Technology Business Incubator Project in partnership with the Eastern Visayas State University, or EBSU. It nurtures the startups that will be become part of the or can be useful for the IT BPM sector. The FPOSI management, or the big company, will be part of the pool of mentors of the Technology Business Incubator, since it is the most successful IT BPM company based in Region 8. The next report also comes from Region 8, and that is their initiative to put up a new Metals and Engineering Innovation Center that will actually be added to the existing or newly established 5 metals engineering and innovation centers in other regions of the country. Okay. Now, in line with the DOST Metals Industry Research and Development Center's vision, the proposed project, which is entitled Establishment of Metals and Engineering Innovation Centers in the regions, aims to strengthen the capabilities of regional academic institutions through strong partnerships with the industry to promote innovation in the field of metalworking to enhance the competitive advantage of the metals and engineering industries. Now, EBSU, or the Eastern Visayas State University, expressed its commitment to be part of the project and to host the Metals and Engineering Innovation Center in Region 8. As for DOST, the Provincial Science Technology Center of Leyte welcomes this new development as it will significantly contribute to the vision for a competitive and responsive metals and engineering sector. In an earlier development, I have reported that DOST Region 12 also pushed the establishment of a Materials and Engineering Innovation Center to be based at the Mindanao State University Jensan campus. So these two will be added to the existing 5. Now, there is a report from DOST Caraga, okay, that they have started a project on food safety involving 42 micro, small, and medium enterprises. Okay, and these are coming from the 5 provinces of Caraga. They signed an agreement as beneficiaries in the implementation of the project called the Shop Floor R&D on ensuring food safety management of MSMEs. Okay, so the signing was last September 8, 2021. Now, the distribution of beneficiaries per province is as follows. There are 11 from Agusan del Norte, 10 from Agusan del Sur, 9 from Surigao del Norte, 7 from Surigao del Sur, and 7 from the province of Dinagat Islands. The research and development will be geared towards food safety management of food products manufactured by these beneficiaries of DOST Caraga's Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program and the local Grants in Aid Program. A science-based approach will be applied to assess appropriate measures to recommend for the continual improvement of MSMEs in terms of safe manufacturing of food. The fundamental strategy to initiate the activity begins with a backward approach in the production through end product testing. Food samples will be subjected to microbiological analysis to assess its quality and compliance to standards. Information obtained through testing will be utilized as baseline data for identifying gaps and appropriate food safety-related interventions. Another report comes from the DOST Industrial Technology Development Institute, or ITDI. Okay, they conducted an Introduction to Cosmetics and Toiletries webinar. This was conducted for 94 participants from the University of La Salette, Santiago City in Isabela. The webinar covered cosmetic product development and quality assurance for cosmetics, and this was conducted upon the request of said university, which offers a course on pharmacy. The resource person was Dr. Celinda Torres from the Industrial Technology Development Institute's Standards and Testing Division. Now, we go to a report submitted by the DOST Philippine Textile Research Institute The report says that DOST PTRI's rewear technology. Okay, this is for the mask, The DOST PTRI's rewear technology, which was initially developed to respond as a defense against COVID-19, is being rescaled to be useful in traditional textiles. This is through the project community-level functionalization of hand-woven Cordillera and Mindoro textiles for creative protective clothing. This is funded under the Collaborative Research and Development to Leverage Philippine Economy or CRADLE program of the DOST Science for Change program. DOST PTRI, in partnership with Custom Made Craft Center or CMCC, this is the enterprise unit of a large NGO that is actively working with indigenous communities in many parts of the countries, forged an agreement to bring the technology to functional application by communities on their hand-woven textile material from Cordillera and the Mindoro regions. The project aims to help develop hand-loom woven masks to comply with the World Health Organization recommended standards for non-medical face masks. More importantly, it will be to develop a multifunctional drying, curing, or micro-stenter machine that will render the functionalization of hand-woven fabrics at the community level. The next report comes from our program called Technicom, Technology Innovation for Commercialization Program. So they have enabled a startup company to provide 360 degrees virtual reality tour of Cebu through the Technology Innovation for Commercialization Program or Technicom. The company called Metaverse was able to optimize its virtual reality kit that provides a 360 degrees view of the famous beaches and tourist attractions in the province of Cebu. The VR technology kit includes a web-based virtual tour builder and mobile virtual tour application. The mobile development platform allows for a more flexible symbiosis between the use of virtual reality in the enterprise industry and the mass consumer market. Metaverse, a startup corporation that specializes in the applications of virtual reality and 360-degree media in business, creates solutions in different business areas to address challenges in the marketing landscape. The company combines both its technological expertise and deep understanding of the market, especially MSMEs, and enable them to control, promote, and customize virtual reality to fit their business endeavors. The next report comes from DOST Picard that they have assisted 13 agencies, okay, in pitching new technologies. The DOST Picard and the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Agricultural Research will be jointly hosting a virtual technology transfer forum on September 30, 2021 from 9 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon via WebEx and Facebook Live. As part of the preparation, DOST Picard and DA BAR or Bureau of Agricultural Research through the Technology Transfer and Promotion Division held a technology pitching mentoring session on September 17, 2021. 13 agencies participated in the mentoring session to craft the pitch for various technologies. The event is in line with the efforts of these agencies to intensify and support the transfer and commercialization of technologies generated from government-funded R&D. The highlight of the forum will be the technology pitching session, where technology generators and technology transfer officers from various R&D institutes and the academe will have the opportunity to present their innovations and business ideas to potential investors. The pitches prepared were on the following technologies: multipurpose seeder, ride-on precision seeder for wet direct seeding, local riding type rice transplanter, rice combine harvester, rice corn mill, greenhouse solar dryer for food grade cassava, Chevon Valley canned products, Don Mariano Chevon products in retort pouch, Gracilaria seaweed products, goat products, and tilapia ice cream. The next report comes from the DOST Technology Application and Promotion Institute or DOST TAPI in collaboration with DOST Region 2. The report says that they have helped 5 technopreneurial innovative projects in Cagayan State University under the DOST Technology Application and Promotion Institute through the DOST Region 2. And they funded 5 innovative projects of students from Cagayan State University in Gonzaga for the school year 2021. This initiative is under the DOST Academic Technology Enterprise Development Program or the DOST-BED program. The DOST-BED program aims to develop entrepreneurial competencies among students, young professionals, and out-of-school youth in selected academic institutions and non-government organizations. It also aims to create income-generating projects with technological innovation that have market potential and technically viable when commercialized. The said projects are as follows. Number one is the Tangimas. It's the Tangi fish preservation manufacturing. The second one is Kabotehan ng mga estudyante, a student empowerment project venturing to mushroom production and processing at the CSU Gonzaga campus. The third one is production and commercialization of multi-grafted bonsai bougainvillea plants and potting mix in Cagayan State University. The fourth project is the Smidgets, which means Cagayan State University Gonzaga as the school motivated to innovate and develop gorgeous and Everlab tiny sweets and establishment of bioorganic fertilizer production center. For 2021, CSU Gonzaga was awarded a total of 692 million pesos for the 5 innovative projects under DOST-BED. It is hoped that the student beneficiaries will not only manage the business effectively, but grow them as income-generating projects over time, even after they graduate. So that's all for kalusugan and kabuhayan.
Maraming salamat po, Secretary Boy. Mga kapatid, nasa huling linggo na po tayo ng Setyembre at sa ganitong panahon, hindi lamang Pasko ang sasapit na. Kapag Vermonts na, ibig sabihin, NSTW season na. Ano nga ba ang magiging tema ng National Science and Technology Week 2021? Panoorin po natin ito. Magbabalik ang DOST Report. Mga updates tungkol sa mga programang pangkaayusan at kinabukasan naman ang ibabahagi sa atin ng Secretary Bon para sa pagpapatuloy na ikalawang bahagi ng DOST Report. Narito po muli si Secretary Bon.
Okay, so I will now report kaayusan and kinabukasan. The first report under kaayusan is a report coming from the Philippine Science High School system that they are building rainwater collection systems in 8 of their campuses and a track and field for the Philippine Science High School in the Zamboanga Peninsula. Okay, so they are now set to have their design, construction, and installation of rainwater collection systems in 8 campuses, as well as a track and field all totaling 80 million pesos. The 8 Philippine Science High School campuses will implement the rainwater collection project with a budget allocation of 5 million each per campus. The water that will be collected from the proposed water system will be used in water closets for toilets, for watering plants, and for cleaning purposes in response to lack of water in parts of the country. Another 40 million budget will be used for the proposed track and field to be constructed in the Philippine Science High School Zamboanga Peninsula campus. It will cater to the conduct of various sport activities for PSHS scholars and for youth development and sustainability in Zamboanga Peninsula and the neighboring provinces of Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. The inclusion of the budget for these projects in the 2021 General Appropriations Act was supported by Senator Pia Cayetano. And if I may mention, we were inspired by the example of the Philippine Science High School uh, Central Mindanao campus in Baloi, Lanao del Norte, when they put up their own rainwater collection system. Now, the next report comes from DOST-11. It has still something to do with water. DOST Region 11 is installing a that's nature-based water filtration system. The DOST Region 11, through its Provincial Science and Technology Center in Davao de Oro, is set to install a vertical helipite filter system or VHFS in Barangay Andap, New Bataan, Davao de Oro. This was supposed to be last August 9, 2021. BHSF is a nature-based water filtration system that originated from the Netherlands. It was first introduced locally through a DOST Region 11 project in 2017, and it was led by engineer Sin Ligbuet, an expert on water engineering and waste management. The environment-friendly filtration system gathers rainwater and wastewater that can be reused for other purposes. The installation of the VHFS in Barangay Andap is part of the environmental protection and conservation interventions of DOST for the community through the Community Empowerment through Science and Technology Program in Davao de Oro. The project team targets to complete the installation of the VHSF by the end of 2021, making it functional for use by the students of Andap National High School as well as residents nearby by 2022. The next report comes from the National Research Council of the Philippines, and this is regarding their expert class that recently featured the value of mapping sources of water, and this is under their expert class episode number 5, held on September 2021. Dr. Cristina Binag, a regular member of the National Research Council of the Philippines, Chemical Science Division, discussed the value of water and the role of people to properly manage and protect all sources of water. She also elaborated what is clean, fresh water, its status, and how we can prevent the danger of losing the source of fresh water that is from water scarcity. The next report comes from Region 5, DOST Region 5, Bicol Consortium for Health R&D sponsors a training on basic research ethics. The Bicol Consortium for Health Research and Development, in collaboration with the DOST, PCHRD, and the Philippine Health Research Ethics Board, conducted a basic research ethics training for budding researchers of its member institutions. And this was held last August 23 to 24, 2021 via Zoom video conferencing. The training aims to establish a PHREB accredited ethics committee and guide them on how to prepare necessary documentations. It also intends to guide the participants on the moral dimensions of the research, apply basic research ethics concepts, and advocate quality ethical research, particularly those researches that involve human participants or human data. The DOST NCR supports 2021 Brigada Escuela through SNT trainings. The DOST NCR continues its support for this year's Brigada Escuela by conducting a series of training on innovative recipes for the pandemic, low-cost, nutritious, and delicious meals for the family. Mga unang hakbang sa iba't ibang uri ng emergency and food security begins at home, the basics of urban gardening, alongside the Claro M. Recto High School, the Department of Health, and the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Plant Industry, respectively. The resource persons for the training from each institution highlighted the different initiatives which students, teachers, and parents can adopt both at school and at home amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The initiatives include low-cost and nutritious recipes made from vegetables and other raw materials. Next is our report on kinabukasan. The first one is a report from the Philippine Science High School system that 9,702 Philippine Science High School students start school year 2021-2022. Okay, so the 16 campuses all started their classes last week. There were a total of 9,702 students which have begun their remote learning through the PSHS learning management system called Knowledge Hub or K-Hub. Printed learning materials are also made available for students who opt to choose the printed instructional materials due to weak or lack of reliable internet connectivity in their family. The next report comes from DOST PSHERD, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, Research, and Emerging Technologies Research and Development. The report says that they are supporting the setting up of 3 new research laboratories. The first one is the establishment of an AI research center for community development. So this laboratory will be set up at the Camarines Sur State Polytechnic Colleges, and it aims to strengthen the research capabilities of artificial intelligence enthusiasts, faculty, and students in the field of artificial intelligence, such as deep learning, computer vision, among others. The establishment of the microbiology testing laboratory will complement and help in the existing research activities of Partido State University Goa campus in Camarines Sur. The acquisition of the requested equipment will increase the integrity of the university research outputs, improve the research skills of the faculty and students, and will increase scientific publications. Mindanao Natural Language Processing Research and Development Laboratory is the third one that PSHERD is setting up. This is a laboratory which will be established at the University of the Immaculate Conception in Davao City. Its aim is to collect language resources needed in the development of the multilingual machine translation system and conversational agent, and the development of a web-based multilingual MT system and CA, among others. The last item reports that Philippine officials expounded on country initiatives at the high-level policy dialogue organized on inclusive innovation. High-level officials in the Philippine government, led by Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, Senator Juan Edgardo Angara, and yours truly, the DOST Secretary, represented the country in the dialogue entitled Accelerating COVID-19 Recovery Through Inclusive Innovation. This was jointly organized by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and the Development Academy of the Philippines, or DAP. The officials discussed the current approaches on inclusive innovation in the Philippines, covering the legislative, policy, and institutional aspects, as well as their importance. There is an added report coming from the DOST Science Education Institute announcing the winners of the fourth I Make, We Make program. The fourth I Make, We Make program recently concluded and highlighted dozens of inventions submitted from schools across the country. The Filipino teenagers showcased their brilliance and creativity, much more made impressive by the fact that they were able to create, innovate, and collaborate despite the pandemic. The project was organized by the DOST Science Education Institute with support from the Gokongwei Brothers Foundation, or GBF, and was overseen by a rigorous team of judges composed of veteran engineers from the country's top universities. The Gokongwei Brothers Foundation executives hope that this initiative will help ensure a pool of quality science, technology, and engineering and mathematics professionals who will contribute to Philippine national development in the future. That ends my report for this week, Onin. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikinig.
Maraming salamat po, Secretary Boy, sa aming pong pagbabalik. Makakasama na natin ang mga representante ng mga natatanging industry associations and foundations na ngayon ay partner ng DOST. Lahat po ng yan sa pagbabalik ng DOST Report. Kayo po'y nakatutok sa DOST Report. Kagaya po ng nabanggit ni Secretary Boy kanina, ay bumaba po ng isang ranggo ang Pilipinas sa Global Innovation Index ngayong taon. Mula 50, naging 51 po tayo. Marami pong maaaring dahilan dito, isa na nga po ay ang pandemya. Pero ayon din kay Secretary Boy, bumaba man ang ating ranggo'y nananatili po masigasig ang Department of Science and Technology sa mga agam, teknolohiya at inobasyon sa mga Pilipino. Lalo pat dumarami po o marami pong katuwang ang DOST mula sa iba't ibang sektor, gaya na lamang ng ating mga panauhin ngayong araw na ito.
Tama ka, Onin. Para sa huling episode na ito sa buwan ng Setyembre ay apat ang ating kakapanayamin. There are 4 interviewees. There is one coming from an industry association, another one coming from a professional association, another one which is actually a foundation composed of Filipino American scholars, and we have a foundation engaged in international research on liver. So we can learn a lot from our interviewee.
Tama po, Secretary Boy. Narito po ang mga kinatawan ng mga industry and professional associations na makasama natin ngayon. Dr. Gisela P. Concepcion, President, Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering, Professor Emeritus, the Marine Science Institute, University of the Philippines, Diliman. Engineer Ronaldo Izon, immediate past President, Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines. Dr. Claudio Teribelli, Scientific Director, Fundación Italiana Fegato. Ms. Olive Puentespina, Vice President, Food Processors Association of Davao.
Simulan na natin ang ating kwentuhan. Let's start our interview. We start with the President of the Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering. We have Dr. Giselle Padilla Concepcion. Good afternoon, Dr. Giselle.
Good afternoon, Sec Boy. Maraming salamat sa imbita ninyo.
Ang Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering ay isang non-profit professional organization na kinabibilangan ng mga scientists at engineers mula sa Pilipinas na nangunguna sa larangan ng scientific research, technology development sa Estados Unidos, sa Pilipinas at sa iba pang mga bansa. Layunin po ng PAASE na maisulong ang kaunlaran ng science, engineering at technology makaikayat sa pagtutulungan sa pagitan ng mga Filipino scientists at engineers at kilalanin at parangalan ang kanilang mga tagumpay at kontribusyon sa science and technology.
Dr. Giselle, can you share with us what PAASE does and what is your vision for PAASE and in what way can the Department of Science and Technology help?
Salamat po. Unang-una, PAASE po ay foundation na sa Pilipinas dahil po sa advice ninyo. So pwede na po tayong pa-certify sa DOST at ma-implement yung ating mga joint programs. Yung taglines po ng PAASE ay agham at kaalaman para sa bayan at PAASE S&T volunteerism, outreach to Philippine regions. Yung vision ko po for PAASE, foster patriotism among Filipino S&T experts. Ibig sabihin, actions speak louder than words. So, mas maganda po yon on the ground yung initiatives na ang PAASE. To pursue our vision, yung mission po ng PAASE ay inclusive. We recruit many more Filipino S&T experts in the country and worldwide. And we organize them into research expertise clusters that you can tap. Pangalawa po, yung meritocracy importante po. We recruit those who have established expertise through peer-reviewed publications and other output. Yung pong advocacy ng PAASE and knowledge-driven economy, dalawa na po yung position papers na pinadala namin sa gobyerno, sa executive and legislative branch to champion STEM education, S&T Human Capital Development, and S&T R&D as major drivers of socio-economic development. And we want to pursue the strategic linkages, unang-una na po with the DOST. We want to forge collaborations with academe and the private sector. Hindi rin lang po naman UP, De La Salle, Ateneo, or UST yan, kundi yung mga SUCs natin sa probinsya. Pangapat po ito right along your taglines and advocacies and programs, knowledge to action, science for the people, science for change. So yung pong aming interdisciplinary team of PAASE experts ay andito po para tumulong sa inyong mga programs. Yung pong implementable plans and actions ng PAASE to carry out its mission, yung pong balik ka sa bayan mo tayo na, SecBoy. Sana po nangyari yon last year tapos nagka-pandemya. Yan po ay ating R&R and R&D ecotourism tours, one-week tours na i-host ng mga PAASE members natin in different regions of the country. Sana po mangyari pa rin yan. And then ngayon po nilaunch na natin yung ating PAASE DOST Google survey of potential balik scientists, RD leaders, and hosts of R&D training in laboratories. We want to offer mentoring and serving as a consultants of government agencies, SUCs and HEIs, and the private sector wherever we are needed. Ito po yung mga ginagawa na po ninyo para sa amin sa PAASE, SecBoy. Tinanggap po ninyo yung 2020 40th PAMS recommendations na ang PAASE to the DOST and NAST. We held a fireside chat. Let's hear it from DOST leaders. Doon po nag-offer kayo, mag-MOU with PAASE. Maraming salamat po. Napirmahan na po yung MOU. Kaya po ngayon, foundation na tayo at pwede na tayong mag-carry out ng ating PAASE DOST collaboration survey. Marami na pong nangyayari between PAASE and DOST. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Gisela, maaari po ba kayong magbanggit ng ilan sa mga ongoing projects po ninyo kasama ang DOST?
So ito po yung ating agriculture-focused projects in Leyte. So ang ating nangunguna po dyan si Dr. Alvin Culaba through your iStart iSteam program in Leyte. Kasama po dyan ang governor ng Leyte at yung private sector La Granja Farms. Marami po tayong binabalak dyan, pati sa coconut product development. Tapos po doon naman sa Bataan, meron na pong malaking involvement ang DOST at ang PAASE members. Yung pong sa 3D printing and additive manufacturing, ngayon po sinusuportahan ng Bataan governor to establish an additive manufacturing prototype or demo center through the Bataan Peninsula State University. Lead po dyan si Professor Gobet Advincula at yung taga BPSU, si John Ryan Cocoy Dison, na nag-training kay Gobet na PAASE member natin. Tapos po itong SciMJ, mukhang si Dr. Leaño very interested na nga to get our DOST researchers in your institutes to publish in SciMJ. yung ating dalawang PAASE members, si Vic Ilag at si Homer Pantua, every week ata nagmi-meeting with the PCHRD Vaccine and Virology Group.
If I were to ask you, Dr. Giselle, what would be your 3 wishes for our partnership?
Ito po, sana po kayo na ang mag-lead sa creation ng STI ecosystems, yung pong critical value of collaborations and linkages to move S&T programs forward involving us, and then PAASE, of course, NAS and NRCP. Pero kami rin meron mga MOUs and MOAs with SUCs and HEIs, and then with the private sector. So ito po yung aking 3 wishes. We would like to request DOST to partner with the PAASE Foundation to pursue 3 strategic thrusts in the PAASE S&T Human Capital Development Paper na may kopya na po kayo. Yung 3 thrusts po where PAASE can help are improving STEM education at the secondary level. Kasi doon po nagde-decide yung high school student na pumunta sa STEM. Kaya ito po, led by CP David, meron na tayong National STEM Bee contest na pinaplano with the private sector, Unilab System, and with DepEd and College of Education. And then meron po tayong second thrust, increasing PhD faculty in R&D in SUCs in the regions. Doon po sa paper meron pong sinasuggest na possible regions kung saan ready na masuportahan ng isang system of universities, no? And pangatlo, ito pong strengthening academic industry government linkages. Kami po ay nagpe-prepare ng MicroMasters short courses for industry, again with Unilab Foundation. So una na po dyan for the pharma industry, sana po magkaroon tayo ng MicroMasters for the additive manufacturing and 3D printing industry. Okay. Pangalawa po, ito i-move forward natin itong ating campaign to get more balik scientists and RD leaders from PAASE to help with the DOST programs. Padaliin, i-expedite po natin yung processing of applications to the DOST programs. Pangatlo po, balik ka sa bayan mo tayo na sana po ang DOSTA mag-launch nga yan ng ganyan with the DOT and DTI at isama na po natin ang PAASE. Yun lang po, Secretary Boy. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Gisela Concepcion, President of the Philippine-American Academy of Science and Engineering. Sunod po naman natin mga kapanayam, ang partner ng DOST-Box, ang Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines. Makasama po natin ang kanilang immediate past president na si Engineer Ronaldo Izon. Magandang araw po.
Magandang araw, Odin and Secretary Boy, and of course sa ating mga kasamahan dito ngayon sa panayam.
Ang Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines o ASEP ay nabuo noong 1961. 60 taon na ang nakalilipas. Layunin po ng ASEP na mapalago ang kaalaman at maisulong ang pinakamataas na antas ng structural engineering practice sa bansa. Bukod po sa mahusay na miyembro nito, kilala po ang ASEP sa kanilang mga publications, gaya ng iba't ibang volumes ng National Structural Code of the Philippines, ang aprobadong referral codes ng Philippine National Building Code.
You know, Onin, ASEP actually has been a partner of Philbox for some time now. Maybe I should ask Engineer Izon what is his vision for ASEP and how do you think can the science and technology community help?
Yes, Secretary Boy, totoo po yun. Ang Philbox po, pati Pag-asa at PSURD ay naging partner na po ng ASEP ng matagal na panahon. Ngayong araw po, nakita niyo sa screen ko na dinidiwang namin ang 60th anniversary ng association. And salamat po sa pag-imbita sa amin dito sa inyong programa. Ang ASEP po, ang isa sa pinaka-principal na kanyang ginagawa or tinataguyod ay yung paggawa ng National Building Code of the Philippines, particularly yung National Structural Code of the Philippines. So, ano yung National Structural Code of the Philippines? Ito yung ginagamit ng ating mga inhinyero, arkitekto at iba pong mga engineers para makagawa ng mga gusali at infrastruktura. No? Dito nakalagay kung ano dapat yung mga regulasyon at provisions na para magtayo ng ligtas at matibay na mga building structures at mga infrastructures. No, so for ASEP, of course, na naiisip po namin na sa panghabang panahon na makikipagtulungan ang DOST, particularly ang PHIVOLCS at ang Pag-asa, dahil importante na malaman natin yung nangyayari sa ating kapaligiran. Particularly po sa lindol, di ba? Kagaya sa Metro Manila, naghahanda tayo for the big one. And hindi lang po sa Metro Manila ang maaring may big one. Sa pag-aaral ng PHIVOLCS, kahit na sa buong Pilipinas, mararamdaman natin yung malalakas na lindol. Di ba? Sa mga recent na mga panahon, Mindanao ho ang inaatake ng malalakas na lindol. At alam natin na maraming nasisirang mga bahay at mga structures dito sa mga lugar na to. Katuwang ho namin palagi ang PHIVOLCS sa pag-develop ng mga provisions para sa earthquake. So na-envision namin na patuloy ang pakikipag-ugnayan namin sa DOST sa pag-develop ng ating National Structural Code of the Philippines. No? Hindi lamang sa lindol, pati sa pag-aayos ng ating mga materyales sa construction through research.
Sa inyo po palagay, paano po makatutulong ang mga science and technology interventions para maisakatuparan ang inyong vision? And speaking of S&T Vision, kamusta po ang collaboration po ninyo ng inyong asosasyon at ng DOST?
Actually, malaking tulong talaga ang science and technology sa engineering. No? Definitely, kagaya ng sinasabi ni Ma'am Gisela, sa STEM pa lang, importante na yung ating approach sa engineering at para malaman dito ng ating mga kabataan. Sa association, sa ASEP, no, napakalaki ng impact ng DOST, particularly ang PHIVOLCS, sa pag-develop natin ng ating code. Kasi di ba alam natin na ang Pilipinas very earthquake prone. And yung ating code ngayon is base sa 1997 code ng Amerika, yung Uniform Building Code of 1997. Ito yung ginagawa nating basihan para sa ating pag-alam kung ano yung lindol na dapat naming i-consider sa pagdisenyo ng mga struktura. So ngayon, ang maganda nangyayari sa pag-collaborate namin sa PHIVOLCS for the last, I think more than 30 years na ang collaboration, noong panahon pa ni Dr. po ng Bayan, ngayon si Dr. Solidum, nagde-develop tayo ng mga iba't ibang gamit na kagaya ng fault map at yung spectral oscillation map. Nung nakaraang panahon, ang ginagamit namin para malaman kung gaano kalakas yung tatamang lindol sa isang building o sa isang bahay ay yung Philippine fault map. So sa ngayon, yung fault map ay basihan para gamitin yung code ng 1997 para sa lindol. Pero sa ngayon, dahil sa ginawang project ng DOST PHIVOLCS na spectral acceleration map, meron na tayo ngayong malakas na batayan para lumipat sa mas makabagong approach sa earthquake design or seismic design ng buildings. Itong spectral acceleration map, magandang ang idudulot nito. No? Yung ating gagamitin na ngayon is yung makabagong ASCE 705 provisions. Yung ASCE 705 provisions, ito yung bagong approach sa pagkuha ng mga epekto ng lindol sa mga struktura using itong paggamit itong spectral acceleration map na dinevelop ng PHIVOLCS at ng DOST. No? Itong spectral acceleration map, ipinopromote to ngayon recently at ipinapamahagi yung kaalaman na ito sa buong Pilipinas ngayon ng PHIVOLCS. No? So bukod sa PHIVOLCS, nakikipag-usap din kami ngayon sa Pag-asa. No? Yung National Structural Code of the Philippines, nasa 7th edition yun, 2015. Itong NSCP ngayon ay binabago namin o dinidevelop namin ngayon na sa year 2022 or sa susunod na taon, magkakaroon tayo ng NSCP 8th edition. At dito i-incorporate na yung spectral oscillation map na ginawa ng PHIVOLCS at nakipag-usap din nga kami sa Pag-asa para i-update yung ating lakas ng mga hangin na dulot ng mga bagyo. No? So lahat ito mapupunta sa bagong NSCP.
Thank you, Engineer Ison. In your assessment, what would be the technologies, services, and facilities that the structural engineers would need from government, for example, from DOST, in this near future?
Yes sir, meron po akong isang wishlist na na sana po magawa po natin in the future. Well, actually sir, it is very important that we continue with our research sa Lindol. No? After ng SAM-PH, meron pa ho kaming i-request na mga pag-aaral pa na kailangan natin gawin para lalo pa ho umunlad yung ating pagkakaalam sa Lindol. No? Yun hong ginawa nating SAM-PH na yun, ay ang basihan ng earthquake is most credible earthquake. Yun hong sa pinaka-latest sa batayan nating mga codes sa ibang bansa kagaya ng US, ang susunod is yung most credible earthquake pero meron na hong tinatawag na risk targeted. Magre-request po kami uli sa inyo na para dagdagan ho yung pag-aaral para umabot na ho tayo dun sa MCER na most credible earthquake na risk targeted. Nakipag-usap na rin ho kami kay Dr. Solidum para isunod ho itong pag-aaral na ito after ho nitong SAM-PH. Of course, ganoon din po sa pag-asa. Bukod sa Lindol, napaka-importante yung pag-aaral natin sa mga bagyo. Kasi bukod ho sa Lindol, nakaka-apekto rin ng bagyo sa ating mga saktura para sa kaligtasan ng ating mga mamamayan. So, importante ho yun. Isa pa ho na kailangan ho nating nakikita ho namin na talaga ho makakatulong ang DOST is sa research. No? Karamihan ho ng ating basihan is ng mga gamit na materyales ay base sa ASTM, yung mga American Society of Testing and Materials. At yung mga research ho natin dito ay karamihan sa mga materyales sa construction is base sa mga research sa ibang bansa. Yun pong Fisher, gumagawa na po siya ng maraming activity at mga nag-open po for research. At sana ho, dumami po ang research regarding sa construction materials. No? Na napaka-importante para gawa natin ang mapaunlad natin ang kaalaman at ma-improve at madagdagan ang safety ng ating mga struktura. Yung huling-huli ko po sanang gustong i-bring up na baka magkaroon po tayo ng pagkakataon na magawa. Sa ibang bansa po, meron po tinatawag na mga Centers for Research on Earthquake Engineering. Marami ho tayong mga karatig na mga bansa, kagaya ng Japan, kagaya ng Taiwan, na mga earthquake-prone countries na meron hong Center for Research on Earthquake Engineering. So, dito ho may mga equipments, mga shaking table, mga strong wall na ginagamit para lalong lumawig yung ating kaalaman sa lindol. Bakit ho lindol yung nasa isip ko? Kasi marami hong maapektuhan. Alam ho natin na halos araw-araw meron tayong lindol at meron ho tayong malalakas na lindol na ina-expect all the time. And napaka-importante na magkaroon tayo ng isang center na magko-concentrate sa research sa earthquake. No? So baka ho pwedeng maisama po sa mga plano ng inyong kagawaran na magkaroon tayo ng Center for Research on Earthquake Engineering.
Maraming salamat po, Engineer Ronaldo Ison, immediate past president ng Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines. Mula sa structural engineering, dumako naman po tayo sa isang organisasyon na may kinalaman sa kalusugan. Makakasama po natin si Dr. Claudio Tiribelli, Scientific Director of the Fondazione Italiana Fegato, isa sila sa mga partners ng DOST Philippine Council for Health Research and Development o DOST PCHRD. Good day, Ms. Dr. Tiribelli.
Good morning or good afternoon. It depends about the time zone you're living in.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's a real pleasure and honor to be part of this interesting audience. And I'm very glad to present what we are doing together with the Filipino government, which in my opinion is a very important step forward in international cooperation.
Ang Fondazione Italiana Fegato o ang Italian Liver Foundation ay isang non-profit organization na nabuo noong pang 2008. Nakatuon po ang FIF sa larangan ng molecular research applied to the liver and its diseases. Ang FIF ay aktibo sa pagbuo ng international partnerships para makagawa ng joint scientific and clinical projects. Sa kasalukuyan, ito ay mayroong umakasunduan sa mga bansa gaya ng Brazil, USA, Mexico, Vietnam, Indonesia, at Pilipinas. Dr. Tiribelli, can you tell us more about Fondazione Italiana Fegato and what is your vision for the foundation and how can DOST support you?
FIF, or the Italian Liver Foundation, it's a non-profit organization which is meant to develop three main issues. One is the scientific research dealing with liver and all related aspects. What we want to do is actually to have what is called translational research or molecular research, which means not only focusing on something which is related to cells or animal models, but something which is coming from the patient, going back to the lab, trying to solve all the basic issues in the lab, and then, and this is the most important and most challenging item, is to go back to the patient and try to apply to the patient what we discovered in humans. There is a very bright example and very close example to this is the development of the new vaccines against the COVID virus. All the technology has been developed in the lab, but actually came from the early warning we had in Congo on the Ebola virus. So they were able to transfer what they learned from a real clinical dangerous situation to something which is now affecting all around the world. The second aspect of the Liver Foundation is actually to take care of the patients, because we must understand that our target or our aim is to deal with the human health and try to help people all over the world to dealing with what is the most challenging aspects of the liver pathology. As far as liver pathology is concerned, one now is the challenging aspect is B virus infection, which has been almost wiped out by the vaccination program going on all over the world, and Philippine government actually was one of the front runner in the region of Asia. Second is the so-called metabolic disease, which is related to the fact that we are eating too much, we are exercising too little, and actually we are watching too much TV. So basically the balance between the income in terms of caloric and the outcome in terms of exercise is imbalanced towards the income. And this is related to the development of fatty liver, small diabetes, and hypertension. This is what we are trying to help people trying to understand that they have to exercise, that's difficult, or try to understand the mechanism and then try to develop new weapons to address this important enemy. It's going to be a long effort, which is actually encompassing all the community all over the world. To give a practical example, which is actually brings together what we are doing here and what you're doing there, we have now 2 fellows coming from Philippines, dealing exactly what this is all about. The one PhD fellow, which is Noel Salvosa, it's actually dealing with a cellular model of liver steatosis, and the other one was Zina, which is a PhD, which is a sandwich program, is dealing with what is the end story of this disease, which is liver cancer. The third aspect of FIF is the international cooperation. As you mentioned before, we have a very large international cooperation with all the countries, basically all the countries in the world, with few exceptions. Africa is one of this exception, with the exception of Egypt. And this is meant because we strongly believe that the international cooperation is bringing a lot of information to all of us. we strongly believe also the international cooperation should be bilateral. I mean, if we have a fellow coming to our lab and spending 1, 2, or 3 years here, the fellow must return to the country is coming from for 2 reasons. Number one, because the fellow is having his or her training at the expenses of the country, and second, because we must return and then we must have all the expertise of the fellow in the country, because in the Philippines, they are running now a very large program on liver cancer, which is coordinated by our co-partner in the Philippines, clinically speaking, is Dr. Ong. And we still don't know why in certain regions of the country, the Philippines, liver disease is much more frequent than in others. There's going to be a sort of genetic background. It's going to be, we need to have strong data. And altogether, this is one of the largest programs we are running now together with the Philippines. Related to the education, due to the vision of DOST and PCHRD, we developed a program and we signed a memorandum of understanding last August, if I remember correctly. Yes, it was August 18, if I remember correctly. And where we actually signed the agreement to have fellows from the Philippines coming to our lab, spending 3 years with us, getting the PhD, and then returning to the Philippines, where together with UP Manila and the NIH, we are trying to set up a large liver lab, actually mimicking what we have here, and then strengthening the cooperation between two countries. So the last issue, which in my opinion is also very relevant, and that's the second program we are running now, we are coordinating now, is the program we are dealing with the Filipino Neonatology Society, in which we will be able within, let's say, 8 months to understand the distribution of severe neonatal jaundice and treatment of severe neonatal jaundice. We cannot afford now to have a baby injured for the rest of his or her life due to the fact that we cannot prevent this curable disorder. We need to have the baby just put under the light, and then this is gone. This is being another project which has been funded by the DOST, actually the PCHRD, and we expect that this is going to be one of the most successful research program in neonatal jaundice in the world, because Filipino will be the only country we will have a sort of a nationwide scenario. So altogether, this interaction has been, is, and will be very exciting, very productive, and humanly very pleasant.
Well, Dr. Teribelli mentioned about the memorandum of understanding that has been signed. I don't know whether he has already covered what are contained in that memorandum of understanding, but maybe we can ask Dr. Teribelli to maybe share with us what is inside that memorandum of understanding with DOST-PCHRD and UP Manila.
The memorandum of understanding has been signed, and in my opinion, the memorandum of understanding is the frame of a nice picture, a nice painting. I mean, it's the legal frame. We created a frame which actually is encompassing what is already going on a daily basis, which means the educational program by which every year 2 fellows will be selected by a joint committee done by PCHRD, UP Manila, and FIF to select 2 fellows to start the PhD program. We have now 2 students already in our lab since 1 year and a half. It's Kay and Noel, and 2 other students will join our lab by November 1st this year to start their PhD. So each year we're going to have 2 new students, and which means that at the end of 3 years, 2 students are moving out the program, returning to the Philippines, and 2 new students are coming in. And this will be a sort of continuation of the project. Number two, in the memorandum of understanding is the creation of the liver network. Filipino will have a liver network coordinated by PCRD and UP Manila. UP Manila is a major player in this program, by which we can have information and samples coming from all over the country to understand the geographical differences and the reason for this difference in liver disease. And three, we're going to have 1 or 2 floors of the new buildings they are constructing now in UP Manila and NIH, where our fellows who will be trained here will keep going with their research, because it's very important that the fellow spend some time, 1 or more years in a lab. Upon return to the country, he or she can keep going with what she or he was doing. Otherwise, we're going to have a sort of frustrated person, and all what we invested will be useless. So I think that this is a good example, most probably a unique example, at least in the country, in the area, of how to different organizations meant or aim to the same target, can cooperate with a huge success.
So, Dr. Teribelli, my last question is similar to what I asked the other interviewees. What are your wishes regarding FIF and the DOST collaboration?
Well, as I told you, the collaboration has been very successful so far. And I'm expecting that in the near future, this cooperation will be even more broad and even more successful. That's the reason why, in my opinion, will be very helpful in order to plan the future, the near future, which means next year or in the next 2 years, and the long-term future, which will be the next 10 years, to set a conference or to get around the table with all the players involved, UP Manila, NIH, DOST, most probably the Minister of Health or the Secretary of Health, which should be involved in this effort, and try to understand what we can do tomorrow and what we can do in 1 year and what we can do in 10 years. And I think this is, the interaction and the successful interaction is also testified by the fact that the Secretary agreed, and we are very grateful to him, to be the lecturer of the annual scientific meeting of the foundation. Every year, every third Thursday of November, the FIF is getting together and all the seniors are presenting what they're doing. We have a scientific committee judging what they're doing. And then each year, we have one keynote speaker to deliver the lecture, the opening lecture. And this year, we have been very lucky to have the secretary doing this. And I think that we are grateful that this is another touchable example on how our cooperation is going. And again, I really will work very hard to try to come to Philippines before the end of the year, and in order to set up a physical interaction, which is much needed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Teribelli, Scientific Director of the Fondazione Italiana Fegato. Ngayon, dumako naman tayo sa paborito nating lahat, ang food industry. Makakasama po natin Ms. Olive Puentespina, Vice President of the Food Processors Association of Davao. Si Ms. Olive din po ang owner ng Malagos Farmhouse na sikat sa kanilang mga produkto, gaya na lamang ng kanilang cheese. Magandang araw po, Ms. Olive.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Onin, Sec Boy, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat at salamat sa pag-imbita ninyo sa amin dito sa inyong programa.
Ang Food Processors Association of Davao ay nabuo para ma-promote ang mga food products sa Davao at masuportahan ng mga food entrepreneurs and processors dito. Ms. Olive, ano po ang vision niyo para sa Food Processors Association of Davao?
Ay nako, itong COVID na ito napakahirap ng ginawa sa isang kalibutan. Pero ang pinakamalaki kasing dagok sa amin na yung most of our members are into pasalubong and into gifting ideas for food. But because of the COVID, we were kind of shocked and we had to scritch and halt for a while. But pagkain kasi, lahat naman ng tao kumakain, di ba? So, ang vision ko pa rin, kahit nagkaganito yung ating sitwasyon sa mga araw na ito, ay maging magkameron pa rin tayo ng productivity at saka ng thought ng ating Philippine Quality Awards, di ba? Yan pa rin ang iniisip natin. Hindi tayo magpapatalo at hindi tayo magpapagapi. So, habang ngayon parang tumatahimik tayo, nag-slow down. We are incubating actually and preparing for the bigger challenge ahead, which is of course the new normal, how we do our business, how we design the food that will be available in the market. So those are the things that we are doing in the association at the moment. But we are very, very active in the call for the food safe products in the market right now. So we are actually co-chair of the National Economic Development Council Food Safety Committee. So yun ang pinagkakaabalahan namin ngayon na ang mga pagkain lumalabas sa merkado ay hindi lang masarap. Dahil alam mo, nagsimula itong mga home bakers, homemakers, home cookers, no? So these are spelling a little dangerous in terms of food safety, but instead of killing them because everybody needs to live and everybody needs to make parang suporta natin ngayong lahat tayo ay naghihirap, bakit hindi natin sila tulungan at turuan kung ano ba ang paggawa at pagmamanufacture ng isang pagkain na safe for the market. So yun yung pinagkakaabalahan namin ngayon.
Olive, may I ask what is the ongoing collaboration between your association and the DOST? Can you cite some examples of specific collaborative projects?
We have been very spoiled by the DOST all through the years, no, since the 80s, no. Kami po ay mga recipient ng napakaraming ayuda galing sa DOST. Mabanggit ko lang po ang iba, meron po tayong HACCP training every year. Ang iba po sa amin ay nakakakuha ng ayuda doon po sa mga bagong membro, nabibigyan po sila lang libre. At kung doon naman po sa nakakakaya na, meron po tayong food safety team na nagbibigay ng lecture, of course, for a fee. And yan po yung ina-avail ng mga miyembro natin taon-taon. Meron po tayong energy audit na naibigay din ng DOST. Yung pong food safety seminars, meron po tayong food manufacturing seminars, meron din po tayong packaging and labeling, meron din po tayong even sales and promo, pinasukan na rin po ng DOST, maitulong sa mga maliliit na manufacturers. At ito pong COVID na ito, nagbigay po ng mga discount sa mga food testing, microbiological testings, ang DOST sa mga katulad namin na nasa food processing. One of the biggest help that I got personally from Malagos Food Incorporated is actually the accreditation from the TUV Nord for my HACCP. So marami po tayong nakukuha that as an association. And we had also a collaboration for the Food Processing Innovation Center that was installed here under the Philippine Women's University. So it's like a cradle. It's an incubation center where members can develop their product, do R&D. Eventually, if we can manufacture it and finalize our recipe, then we can do and we can invest already in our own company and in our own facilities.
Yeah, thank you. And are there any specific services or facilities that we are not yet offering that you may need in the future.
Alam niyo, sir, sa amin, napaka-dynamic po ng food processing eh. Dito po sa Davao, leaps and bounds ang growth ng mga processors. Napakarami na pong nagpapa-FDA accredit, ano. Ang pinakamalaki ho namin gustong hilingin sana yung mas malaking testing laboratory.
Testing, okay.
Alright, maraming salamat po, Ms. Olive Puentespina, Vice President of the Food Processors Association of Davao. Secretary Boy, baka may mga nais pakipabatid sa ating mga panauhin at mga taga-subaybay.
Well, I'm really very happy that we were able to get this very distinguished panel of interviewees today from practically all walks of life. You know? So we have from the professions, we have from the processors, we have from the international group, and of course from the academe and the practicing researchers and scientists. Now, I listened very well, and one of the things really that shall we say I get from today's discussion is really the importance of continuing human resources development in the field of STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. There is also the need to further strengthen, and I hope we will have all the funds, the industry, academe, government collaboration or linkages, and that was actually cited as examples by Olive, you know, the collaboration between industry, government, and academe. And of course, the importance of international collaboration. Now, speaking of collaboration, today's interview gave me some ideas which can be explored, not necessarily by DOST, but by the other groups who were represented here, like whether we are talking of earthquake engineering or liver disease or quality processed food. We can take advantage of Filipino experts from the US, also from the Philippines, of course, who are under the banner of PAASE. Okay, so we can take advantage of them, maybe invite them as balik scientists or local R&D leaders. And even in the area of structural engineering, Engineer Rani, I know that there are also, shall we say, very important research projects in the area of earthquake engineering that is being done in Italy. Dr. Taribelli comes from a very unique area, okay, where you have a cluster of science and technology centers, and this is in Trieste. There are also many food items, in Italy, where I think there can be some, how do you call it, relationship, between our processed food and theirs. I think there is so much room for collaboration. Yun lang, Onin, ang aking masasabi.
Maraming salamat po, Sec Boy, sa amin pong pagbalik. Makasama po namin ni Secretary Boy ang ating mga panauhin sa pagsagot sa mga tanong ng bayan. Huwag po kayong BBTU, magbabalik pa ang DOST Report.
Ngayong Miyerkules, tampok ang isang halimbawa ng peaceful application ng nuclear science and technology sa pag-aaral ng polusyon sa hangin. Alamin ang isang paraan upang mapag-aralan kung saan nagmula at kung gaano karami ang particulate air pollution gamit ang Nuclear and Related Analytical Techniques o NATS. Kasama si Dr. Preciosa Corazon Pabroa, chemist and environmental scientist mula sa DOST, Philippine Nuclear Research Institute o DOST-PNRI. Abangan yan sa Expert Talk Online tuwing Miyerkules, alas 5 ng hapon sa DOST TV Facebook page at YouTube channel.
Oras na para sagutin si Secretary Boy at ating mga panauhin ang tanong ng bayan. Para po sa unang katanungan, mula kay Mads Arieta Dominguez ng National Press Club. Para kay Secretary Boy, sa paano pong paraan nakatutulong ang DOST at ng ibang ahensya ninyo para matulungan ang ating mga private associations na maiangat ang ating ekonomiya sa gitna ng mga problema natin sa bansa? At paano pa mapapatibay ang partnership nyo sa kanila?
I think I can answer that by enumerating the mandates that we have at DOST. One of them is the provision of adequate human resources that has the skills that are needed by the different sectors. So whether it's engineering or medicine or basic science or food processing, we need experts in this area, locally developed experts. And that is the reason why our scholarship program is really being continued and expanded. And not only that, we also carry out jointly with these groups the training of the necessary human resources, okay, in up-to-date technologies and know-how. In the area of research and development, obviously, there is really a lot of room for cooperation, whether we are talking of structural engineering or liver research or food processing or the different areas where we have experts in PAASE. And we recognize that some of our big programs here were actually helped by PAASE members. And of course, also in the area of this area of adapting new technologies. You know, we don't have to discover all the technologies we need. There are also technologies that we can acquire from outside, and we can cooperate with the private sector so that they can be adapted, okay, here in our country. And sometimes, oftentimes, the collaboration is very critical. Thank you.
Paano po makatutulong ang inyong tanggapan sa Department of Science and Technology sa larangan ng pagbibigay ng mga scholarship? Ang tanong ay para po sa PAASE at ASEP.
So, ang nagbibigay po ng mga scholarship ay ang DOST. Of course, sa mga SUCS and UP, meron din po tayong mga scholars, no? Sa ngayon. Ngayon, yung sa PAASE, lahat po ng fields of science and engineering, pati the medical sciences, ay covered by our experts, many of whom are faculty members in UP, LaSalle, Ateneo, UST, and SUCS. Ngayon, bawat miyembro niyan, merong research group or merong mga estudyante na alam nila magagaling at promising and committed. So sila po ang pwedeng mag-advise naman sa mga estudyante na mag-apply for scholarships that are provided by the DOST. Actually, medyo lumalago na po yung scholarship program ng DOST sa mga local universities, including led by UP. This is the situation now only.
Salamat po, Secretary Boy. Sa ASEP naman po, bilang isang professional organization na matagal nakikipag-collaborate sa PHIVOX, karamihan ho ng mga ginagawang training ng PHIVOX regarding disaster preparedness, disaster management, at yung mga nadidevelop po natin na mga hazard maps and mga iba't ibang tool ng mga local government units. Sumasali po ang ASEP para mag-train ng ating mga local government personnel at mga mamamayan sa local government para maintindihan lalo paano ma-prevent yung mga pagkasira ng kanilang mga struktura pagka nagkaroon ng malakas na lindol or malakas na bagyo. So patuloy po kami na sumusuporta sa PHIVOX kapag po kami tinatawagan para sumama sa mga ongoing trainings ng PHIVOX at ng DOST.
Ito'y tanong para kay Dr. Tiribelli. Mula po kay Meli Tenorio ng Radyo Agila. What is the latest, sir, on the Italian Liver Foundation?
Basically, our research is focused on three major issues. One is the jaundice, neonatal jaundice, and all the technology related to the development of early diagnosis. The second is the molecular approach of liver cancer to understand how we can make early diagnosis, therefore a better treatment of the patients. employing the most advanced and sophisticated molecular biology techniques like Myrna and all the genetic engineering. And third, the fatty liver, the metabolic disease of the liver involving and stop the progression from fatty liver to chronic liver disease and liver cancer.
Thank you, sir. At ito po'y tanong mula kay Terry Alpa ng DWDD Kawal Radio para po kay Ms. Olive. Ano naman po ang naiambag ng inyong mga asosasyon kasama ang DOST ngayong pandemya?
Kami po ay nakikiisa sa DOST sa pag-promote po ng food safe from manufacturing. Yan po yung pinakamalaki namin pinagkakaabalahan ngayon, yung maggawa ng mga policies in the region, I'm talking about Region 11, on how to be able to teach and share information to the bigger public na nagko-consume, not just to let people demand for a better and safer food, but also to teach the manufacturers to actually prepare food properly so that we will be safe, not just from COVID, but any emerging diseases.
Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat sa Koy at sa ating mga panuhin kay Dr. Gisela Concepcion, Engineer Randy Ison, Ms. Olive Puentespina, and Dr. Claudia Tiribelli. Mga kaibigan, abangan nyo rin po ang Expert Talk Online team Miyerkules at Bantay Bulkan tuwing Webes, alas 5 ng hapon kasama si Jel Miranda sa DOST Facebook page at YouTube channel. Mas marami pang balita mula sa mundo ng siyensya at teknolohiya ang ating pag-uusapan. Kaya tutok lamang kayo tuwing Biyernes, alas 4 ng hapon dito sa DOST Facebook page. Ako si Oren Miranda. Ito mga balita may kinalaman sa siyensya at teknolohiya para sa bawat Pilipino, straight from the S&T Authority ng bansa. Ito ang DOST Report.